Hello, beautiful soul. I'm Korinna, your human design and alignment guide.
And I am Skylar Shea, your personal energetic guide, intuitive cheerleader, and high-level professional coach.
And welcome to Raise Your Freak. We created this podcast because we are driven to live to our fullest potential and want to share our experiences and obsessions with the frequency-curious individuals out there. We go live every Friday at 11:11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Zoom, so you can be part of the conversation.
I'm so excited about all of this because I love podcasts, but I always find myself wanting to ask questions. By offering you the opportunity to join us live, this means you can ask your questions in real time.
Each week, you can expect various conversations regarding all things human frequency, as well as support to help you integrate.
We understand the importance of tending to your frequency and engaging in topics as it helps you along your path to expansion and alignment.
Our goal is to help you feel a part of a community as you navigate your journey through this lifetime.
We look forward to connecting with you every week, live at our Zoom headquarters, on YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
I think we covered everything, Skylar.
I think so too.
Okay, let's dive in.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday. Long weekend for us.
I know. It doesn't feel like a long week. Well, I mean, weekends don't even feel like a weekend for me, but do you have any plans for the long weekend?
I do. I'm going to a friend's property and we're going camping for the weekend. I'm actually really close to your property, I think. It's like just off the end of the Salmon River.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. That'll be fun. It should be good weather too.
Yeah, pretty, like it might rain a little bit tonight, but we're sleeping in a car.
Are you staying all weekend or?
Just till Sunday. We're going to leave tonight and then be there till Sunday. And then we have Sunday and Monday to reorganize, reset, and be back.
That's so key. People that go on vacations and then they come back home and then they go to the work the next day. I'm like, how do you live a life of chaos? I need a buffer day.
You need a vacation from your vacation. So you need at least a day to recuperate yourself, organize, or else, at least for me, the entire next week is a friggin' write-off.
Yeah, no, it's because you feel like you're trying to catch up, and so it takes a few days rather than just taking a day to realign and getting ready. Yeah. Speaking of aligning, speaking of focus, speaking of connecting energy, this episode today, we are going to be talking about all things Reiki. And I'm really excited about this because Skylar and I are both Reiki masters, but she is my Reiki master. So I learned all about Reiki from this wonderful soul, which I have to say was one of the biggest and best gifts and investments that I put into myself because its benefits absolutely incredible. So today we're going to dive into and discuss all about Reiki, and Skylar is going to us of everything that we need to know. And I'm really excited about this. So are you ready to just get into it?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So I guess we should explain the way we decided to set this conversation up a little bit more. You're going to ask me questions and then we're just going to see what comes from this. But I will also be asking some of these questions back to Korinna as well, because she also knows and experiences all this to do with Reiki as well. She's gone up to her mastery too. So technically, even though she might not feel that way, she knows pretty much just as much as I do about Reiki. If I was a good teacher, at least.
yes, exactly. And you were an incredible teacher. Very, very incredible. Okay, so first question. What is Reiki? And maybe give a little bit of a history of where it came from.
Yes. So it's funny because depending on who you talk to, it might slightly vary, just like any sort of older tradition, but with like yogic traditions and religious traditions, not that Reiki is religious, but with these different traditions, there are varying degrees of how it originated, where it originated. So I'll be sharing my perspective based on what is called the Usui system of natural healing. So this is Usui, who was one of the founders of Reiki, according to the Japanese tradition of Reiki, which is where we are learning Reiki from, where we've learned Reiki from, Korinna and I specifically, and really how the West has learned Reiki as well, because there is one woman in particular that learned through their Usui system, and she had come then over to Hawaii and then shared with people. And it was her traditions that I have been taught from. So it originated in about the 20th century in Japan as a means for someone to be looking for a way in order to activate energy healing, in order to activate the healing that is capable within us all. Discovering this journey of Reiki, he created the term Reiki. In Japan, Rei Ki basically means the universal key, so the universal energy. So stripping that back even more, really what Reiki is universal life force energy moving into your body. So the practitioner or the person who is attuned to the Reiki energy, they are able to send this energy. So there's traditions of thought. Some believe it to be different than life force energy, but of similar vibration. And others believe it to be life force energy. So what is life force energy? It is essentially a vibrational frequency that allows us to exist, to be here. It is what prana is as well, in a sense or a way. So it is breath that comes into us. It is energy that comes into us, and it vibrates at a similar frequency to love. And so the way that harmony works, the way that bringing balance into the body works, is that basically whatever is creating disharmony in the body is creating dysregulation, is creating imbalance. And by offering an energy that is of a higher vibrational frequency, that moves into the body. So then what is being dysregulated, what is out of harmony, out of balance, the Reiki energy gives an opportunity for balance to occur. So in a long runabout way, Reiki is a form of energy healing. It's an energy healing modality. It was originated in the 20th century, and it came from Japan to the States, and then from there trickled out to all these other spaces and places. And really, this is a energy form that we've all always have had access to. And if you look at older religious scripts as well, you hear about Jesus being able to heal with his hands. Well, what we do know is that we all have chakras or energy centers in our hands. And those energy centers are able to emit and move energy. And so what Reiki really does is helps to ignite that energy that is naturally and innate within us and allows us to utilize it for good in order to help bring harmony, whether it's to people, whether it's to yourself, whether it's the environment that you're in. So yeah, it's just a modality to bring greater harmony to all.
I love that so much. And you said something, and it's something that, again, you spoke of in class. And it was kind of like that aha moment that I had, is that energy is at that vibration of love. And I think, especially in this work of self-exploration, we really start to come to learn and understand, one, the importance of vibration, but two, the importance of the heart chakra's vibration. That frequency of love is our connection to the highest self. So this energy, this Reiki energy vibrates at that pure form. Like that's connection, right? With source, that's connection with divine. So I love that so much.
Now how Reiki gets taught, like I still teach the traditional Usui system of Reiki, and then I will add in my own knowledge that I've gained outside of Reiki to help to integrate the material and integrate the information. And how other people have created their own Reiki trainings is sometimes staying really traditional and sometimes creating kind of their own thing. And so, for instance, I do have friends that have learned from another woman who I haven't learned from, and the Reiki that she offers and that she suggests is so much more heart-centered and heart-based, in the sense that she really teaches her clients and her students that it starts here and then it extends out from our arms. And so I love that intention as well. It really is a practice or a modality to bring greater amounts of love into this world.
Oh my God, I love that so much. I feel that answers the next question, but still a question I think is worth asking is what are the benefits of Reiki, or what's the benefits of knowing Reiki, or what's the benefits of the energy itself?
So it's highly intuitive, which basically means that the benefits of Reiki are going to meet you exactly where you need to be met. So for some people, that will mean it will be really supportive physically. Maybe they have a pain in their shoulder. Maybe they have physical pain that they're going through. And by going and seeing a Reiki practitioner, what might be able to happen is not only getting to a place where you're able to not feel the pain as much, but we're also able to start to help to get to the root of what that pain is. And maybe not all Reiki masters would do this, or Reiki practitioners would do this, where they bring in a bit more of a psychic component to it, but there has the intention to have a bit more of a psychic ability to it as well. And so in that sense, it can help physically, but it can also help psychically. So it can help to, especially if you go through and do you attune yourself to Reiki or you learn Reiki, then every attunement that you receive, and this will be a question later on, what are attunements? But when you learn Reiki, you start becoming activated to truly the truth of who you are and your own powers. And in that, it's also your own psychic ability, your own psychic powers. And so it's connecting you further to the truth of who you are. So whether you're coming for just one treatment or whether you're going and you're learning Reiki, both aspects, when Reiki is involved, is helping to amplify truth, to helping to bring in greater truth. So that might feel like just more regulation, more balance, more peace after a treatment, after a session, or that might be more clarity, more feeling of a lightness coming over you. Like maybe you've been so heavy and feeling so much heaviness that it has the ability to clear energy that no longer serves you, that can just be released. So the overall outcome is greater balance and greater harmony. And so that might meet you at a physical level, that might meet you at an emotional level, that might meet you more at a mental level. And it just really will depend on what's going on in your life based on where that harmony is that you need.
And there's something that you talked about that I'd like to expand on personally. I received my Reiki mastery. It's been a year. So it's been a year that I've had it. And I'd be curious to know your experiences. What I've noticed in myself is, first of all, with every attunement, which again, you said we'll get into, I experienced, it's like I had an awakening. Each time I had an attunement, something within me was revealed or a shadow was brought up for me to look at. It was like something is like, no, this is an old story. This is old energy that needs to be moved. It's almost as though it's like it needed to get rid of it. So then there was more space for Reiki energy, which I know Reiki energy doesn't live in my body, but it felt like, nope, in order for this proper function to occur, this energy needed to move. And even now, in the year of having my Reiki mastery, every time I use it for something, I feel, because you said it meets you where you are, I feel expanse even in that, whether it's an increase in my intuition or just an increase in how I see the benefits of Reiki itself. It's been a really cool journey to see how Reiki shows up where I am, and then I expand further through that. Do you have similar experiences with Reiki? Because you've been a Reiki master for far longer than I have. So I'm really curious.
Yeah. So right now, actually, I'm going through a bit of a period where I'm doing some mentorships right now. So meaning that people in my world right now are either doing their level 1 and 2 and coaching alongside with that, or they're doing their level 3 and coaching alongside with that. So when I reteach the trainings, I always do it. It's always slightly different, but it also meets me again. It like reinvites itself to me. And so just before getting on this call for this recording, I was actually having a session with one of my level 3 mentors, and she reminded me, hilariously enough, of just how powerfully intentional Reiki is. Where you were saying, I recognize how it helped to bring up some shadows. Even now, like you are seeing ways in which you're developing your psychic strengths. And I'm curious, when you did your level 3, what was the intention that you set for yourself for your level 3? And this is a part of my offering, my practice, is that I make sure that our first class, no matter what, is like you getting really clear on what your intention is and why we're doing this work together. Because intention sets the flow of everything. And it's almost like Reiki helps to amplify that, because all it wants is the best, right? All it wants is the highest vibration to occur, the best result to occur for the outcome of everyone. It is really powerful. I will give this as an example of just how powerful the intention of Reiki is, and being able to use Reiki when you know how to use it. So I used to serve at restaurants. I was doing my mastery training, and while I was doing other training, so I wasn't fully in this work yet. And anytime I would walk to the restaurant, I worked at a really busy higher end restaurant too. It was the sense of feeling the flutters or the anticipation, feeling the stress of heading into work. Well, in level 2 of Reiki, you learn how to send Reiki through distance, through space, through time. And you can send it to a time frame, like you can send it to a place. And so what I would do is I would send the Reiki to the shift. I would just amplify the energy, especially as I was walking to the shift and noticing like that anxiousness coming up. It was like, oh no, no anxiousness, sending positive balance, harmony, vibration. It's a classic way of also helping to amplify and plant seeds of manifestation, because then I'm walking into work and all of a sudden random little miracles happen all day long. Little fires are going out without me even acknowledging that they're there. People that I would work with would also always say, wow, every time like you're working, it's just things are just so much smoother. There are times when the kitchen staff, especially if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you know, the kitchen staff can be a little bit diabolical sometimes, and they might be setting the tone. They might be the heartbeat for the whole staff, for the whole place. And so I also know at points in my career that I'd be absolutely terrified of kitchen staff. Now, near the end of my career with serving, I was not terrified of them at all. I was able to talk to them real, and even more than real. If they were being ridiculous, I would be able to say, like, let's just calm this down for a second. Let's just, that we're not all heart surgeons here. And there would be a bit of a humility in that. There would be a little bit of a laughter in that, that people would be able to not take themselves so seriously. And I really do think and believe that me setting that intention, me putting and using and supporting the Reiki energy to amplify the space and that intention of harmony while we're working, helped to create that, helped to maneuver that for us. And so the original question that you had, I think, was more along the lines of like, how do you notice where it meets you? And it grows with you. It gets to grow with you. And so one thing also, if you're listening to this and maybe you have your Reiki level 1 and you haven't really been using Reiki and you're not really sure if you can use Reiki anymore. Yes, 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 you can. It's always there. Maybe you want to go and do your next attunement so that you feel more connected to it and that you amplify the energy within you, because every attunement does help amplify the energy within you. However, it's always within you. The more you practice it, the more you use it, the more you will feel it. So act as though it's like a muscle, and as you want to use it, set the intentions and watch as things shift and as things change for you.
Okay, what's an attunement?
Okay. So what happens in any level of Reiki where you're learning Reiki, where you are becoming a student of Reiki, and therefore then maybe eventually a master of Reiki. How the Usui system teaches the Reiki levels is there's 3 different levels, and it is suggested to wait at least 21 days between each level, because that's how long it takes for the energy system to attune to each. What the attunement actually does is it helps to open up your chakra system to bring in and elevate to the Reiki energy. So it is essentially getting an energy upgrade. Yes, everyone, I believe, does have the potential to use their hands to send energy. Learning Reiki helps you to learn how to protect your energy while you're doing it, amplifies you to being able to take in that source energy so that you're not sending out your energy, that you're actually just being the conduit or the channel for the life force energy. And there's a level of protection that also occurs and happens too. And so for every attunement, you get amplified to the energy a little bit more and a little bit more each time. So level 1 is pretty basic. If you were to basically do the level 3 attunement without doing the level 1 attunement, some people will be able to do level 1 and then they'll want to do level 2 right away, and then they'll want to do level 3 right away. That was Korinna. She had no intention of doing that, but her intuition led her through that way. And she was so ready, and it was so good for her. Other people might need years to go from level 1 to level 2, and might not ever get their level 3. So it's just all dependent on your journey and what it is that you want to do with this work. So the attunements really are that, in which it's just helping you attune to the energy. So you receive your attunements when you're learning Reiki. You don't necessarily receive an attunement when you're coming for a Reiki treatment or a Reiki session.
Funny, because as you're talking about that, I've been just reflecting on each attunement and that 21-day cycle, because you were so great, because you would prepare us every day and then it would go through 3 times, right? Because there is the physical, the emotional, and the spiritual, or something. And just reflecting upon that, and now it's to answer your question from a bit ago, what my intention was always reception, so just to receive. I wanted to really be an open conduit, because I was ready to really level up. That's how that's how I've been approaching my life for 10 years now. Stay curious and be open to expansion, take in expansion. And doing that is beautiful and incredible and amazing, but it also has some chaotic moments. So it's not all rainbows and butterflies. And for me personally, every time I hit an attunement, like I said, I was really forced with a lot of shadows and a lot of like old stories that that I've told myself, that it was like, it was like Reiki was the mother, the godmother energy, and I was the child, and it was saying, okay, Korinna, it's time. You need to let this go. And so it was like sticky, right? It was very sticky during those times, and a lot of tears, a lot of self exploration. But looking back on it now, I believe that we have many spiritual awakenings, and each attunement was a brand new awakening for myself. And it was really, really incredible.
The attunements are very comparable to a Kundalini awakening. I definitely believe that you can have multiple and many awakenings within your life, and we're always evolving, we're always changing, we're always growing. So you don't just have one Kundalini awakening and then you're like, all right, I'm good for life. See you later. And it's kind of the same then, therefore, with the attunements for Reiki. The level 1 gets you to a certain place of opening up for yourself, level 2 to the next place, level 3 to the next place. Now, some Reiki trainings really brush over that 21-day attunement period, which in my opinion is such a shame, because it's happening for you, but if you're not conscious or aware of it, you might be missing the opportunities of growth, and might just be thinking, wow, like it's been a dark couple weeks. I've been feeling off these couple weeks, or it's been a really enlightening, beautiful couple weeks. I've been having a phenomenal couple weeks. And just when you don't necessarily have that conscious awareness of what's actually upgrading and happening in your energy system, you don't have the opportunity to meet it and actually work with it and grow with it. So the 21-day attunement period, you receive your attunement. We do have 7 main chakras in our body. There's multiple chakras, but there are 7 main chakras in our body. When the attunement occurs, it starts basically day 1 at the root chakra, helping to clear and rebalance and reharmonize the root chakra. Day 2, the sacral chakra. Day 3, solar plexus. So there's a lot of emotions, belief systems, physical things that are all happening in our chakras all the time. And it really is our chakras that kind of then depict or dictate how our body's going to be healthy or not healthy. And so if there are blockages in our energy system or blockages in our chakras, that is going to create a lack of flow, a lack of energy into organ systems or into our brain, and it can eventually lead to physical, emotional, spiritual imbalances. And so really the attunements are helping to basically detoxify us so that we can have a greater sense of balance, a greater sense of flow. And so again, the attunement will meet you exactly wherever you are ready to be met. The depth that you're able to go to is the depth that you're going to go to. And if you don't want to go to certain depths, you're not gonna unpack all this stuff. It really, again, it's very intuitive, and it works with you knowing where you're at, what you're ready for. And then the one last thing I'll say about the attunements that are just so cool is that it really does help connect you with more of the truth of who you are, and therefore also your powers as well. So your psychic abilities, whatever those are, every human has psychic gifts. A lot of us, through conditioning or whatever it may be, shy away from them, hide away from them. And so the attunements help to reactivate these gifts within us. So for myself, for instance, being able to feel energy, to understand energy by feeling it, by experiencing it, whether the person's right in front of me or whether the person's distances away, that's one of my gifts. And that came online very strongly when learning Reiki. And then I have another friend slash client who, after doing her level 1 Reiki, she's now able to have these massive intuitive messages and downloads come in, and she's an intuitive channel now for individuals. I've seen this time and time again, and this is how I know this happens, because I keep seeing it happen within the students that I'm teaching, especially if in their life path they are meant to have some sort of a psychic gift come through or come on for them. The attunements are really going to help speed that up and support that for you.
I love that. I would love to know, what's your coolest or most interesting story when it involves Reiki and its healing properties that you've experienced?
There's so many, but a couple situations come to mind, and they would be the situations that helped me believe in this work, because I will have to say, like, I'm just as much of a skeptic as anyone else. And my brother is actually a physicist, not a quantum physicist, particle physicist. He wants real facts. He wants real science. So I have a little bit of him in me, in the sense of, how does this work? Like, how does this really work? And so it is anecdotal evidence that has helped build my belief system. One story in particular is a ripple effect. And it actually goes to show too that Reiki often finds people. Oftentimes you're like snowballed into it and it meets you. And so I was in Costa Rica at a yoga retreat center the first time I received it. And then my life changed so significantly after receiving that first treatment, that a year later I was back at the retreat center, but now I'm working at the retreat center. And I was finishing a degree in nutrition, and the Reiki master, who became a very good friend of mine, she was starting to offer Reiki courses at the retreat center. And so I participated in them. And that's how I eventually learned over a couple of year span. As I was practicing Reiki, I hadn't had my mastery yet, but I was doing my level 2. I was offering Reiki to people that were coming to the retreat center. And I was with a girl who I had just given her a treatment, and then we decided to walk down to the water. And at the water, there it's like a kite surfing center. And so it's all these hippie jocks, and a lot of them are not interested in the spiritual side of things as far as energy work and Reiki goes and all of that. And that's okay. I don't need to be here and prove anything to anyone. Not my responsibility. However, I'm with this girl and she gets stung by a bee and on her hand, and she's, ow, ow, it's hurting her. And so I give her Reiki right away. And she had just received Reiki from me. So she was like, do you mind? Would that be okay? Of course. Absolutely. So I give Reiki to the bee sting for about 5 minutes or so. And then she's like, oh, it feels better. And like, take her hand away. Bee sting completely gone. Swelling completely gone, as if it wasn't there. So now there is an older man who is just the best guy. I'll call him Carl. And he's in his 70s. He's Costa Rican, but also American. He has wild stories of his own. He's a mountain biker and a kite surfer at this time. If I say anything about Reiki, he's rolling his eyes. And I actually have a video where he's saying in the video, oh, is that woo-woo shit you're doing? So that's who this guy is. And so he's sitting beside me on the one side and she's sitting on the other side. And he was just watching what just happened. And he's like, what stung you? And she described what the bee looked like. And he goes, that sting should have lasted you a week. What the heck? So now his curiosity is piqued, and he's sitting beside me, and he just got into a mountain biking accident a couple weeks. And so he has a sling on because he's broken his collarbone, and he's in a lot of pain, and he's fairly grumpy because his biking career is done. He's in his 70s. He doesn't know if he'll ever get back on a bike. He's also watching his other passion, love that he can't be doing, which is windsurfing. And so he's grumpy, he's annoyed, and now he's confused. I say to him, I'm like, yeah, like that's like the power of Reiki. It really helps heal physical pain. Do you want me to try it? And he goes, fuck, might as well. I'll do anything at this point. And so sure enough, I provide the Reiki to him, and he feels better when it's on him. He has not been in pain in weeks now. And so it's the only thing that made him not feel pain. And so he was sold right away and was like, can I sign up with you? And I need a session. And I have to say, him coming to he was known at the retreat center and stuff too, but he's only ever come there for the restaurant, for the food, never, ever for a treatment. And so when he came in and was walking in for a treatment, everyone was like, what did you do to make him come? And it just made me realize it's just the power of like, when you are so excited about something, when you believe in something so much, the right people gravitate towards you. They just come to you. And so those were really cool experiences. And in the same day, in the same moment, there's like a dog, and this is the video I have. There's a dog behind me that's barking like crazy, that's tied up, but won't stop barking. And so I turn around and I just start sending the dog distance Reiki. The dog immediately sits down. The dog eventually barking gets quieter and quieter and stops barking. And then I take the Reiki away, starts barking right away again. I'd never done that before. There was just so many sequences of events making me believe at the power and the strength of it. One last story I have is more of a psychic perspective. And again, these anecdotal experiences is why I believe in it. It's not from doing research.
It's all about when you experience, that becomes your truth. Yeah. Right? Our outer world is a reflection of our inner world. When something is true for us, we see that in the outer world, right?
One thing that can happen when you're providing Reiki to someone, when your messages might come up, like while you're at different chakras or at different places, and they can come up as like a hearing or a knowing. Level 1 and level 2 helps to teach this. I help to teach you where and how your psychic abilities communicate with you and how they speak to you. And so for me, it's like a hearing, or a knowing. I get a download sometimes. And so there was one client, and this was only a couple of years ago. As a disclaimer, I would never, ever say I'm a medium. I don't even know totally what I believe about the next life. This client is on the table. She's not talking. I'm offering her treatment. And this message just keeps on coming through to tell her to not to worry about money, to tell her to not to stress about money. And egoically, I'm thinking it's because maybe the treatment was like out of her budget or something. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I should say that to her. That's weird. Anyway, I always say it anyway. You might be pleasantly surprised to know what the meaning is about it if you don't understand. And so I share with her that there's a suggestion to not worry about money so much. And then her mouth drops. And I'm like, what? She goes, literally just yesterday, I was talking to my mom about my dad. Don't know her mom, don't know her dad. Don't know if they're alive, don't know if they're dead. And so she said she was talking to her mom about her dad. Her dad had recently passed and she was receiving a very small amount of money, a small inheritance. And she really wanted to take that inheritance and go on this dream trip to France to do this like culinary school. And yet she has all this other stuff going on that financially, logistically, it doesn't make sense for her to be doing that. And she would also think that it's not responsible for her. She was thinking her dad would say, no, you shouldn't do that. It's not responsible for you. And so now I'm here telling her that she needs to spend the money. That's what it's saying. Spend the money, spend the money, spend the money. And so she tells me, I had this conversation yesterday. It's almost as though my dad is coming through and telling me to spend the money. I was like, oh, yeah, he is actually. That's exactly what's happening. And now that you're affirming that, let me go into even more detail about what the messages said, what the messages are saying, because I wasn't even letting myself hear totally what he was trying to tell me because my belief system was not like ready for me to acknowledge that I can connect with energy, whether that energy has a physical body or doesn't have a physical body. So that was another like big example and growth experience for me of just like how this modality helps to connect us to whatever we need in order to perpetuate us or propel us to those next steps for ourselves.
Wow, I love that story. That's so cool. I feel like once again, we've only just touched the surface of our topic because we're already at the end of the podcast.
We might need to do like a part 2 of all of
everything.
everything.
Yeah, exactly. That was so good, Skylar. Thank you so much. I love it because this is information I know, but it's always lovely to hear it again. And I know that there's a lot of value here for our listeners as well, just to get a better understanding of what Reiki is. So is there anything you want to share on top of this?
If you are listening to this and you're interested and wanting to learn more about Reiki itself or wanting to learn more about like how to learn Reiki, that is something I can definitely support you with. I do have online Reiki training. So I have Reiki level 1 online, Reiki level 2 online, and my Reiki level 3 right now is as a mentorship. And you can do level 1 and level 2 as mentorships too. So you're receiving coaching from me as well. But you can also do it just as an evergreen program on your own. The course is there, it's created. The way that I create these courses is basically, in my own sense, been able to receive it myself. For me, I learned Reiki with my Reiki master and lived with her basically on the same property for 2.5 years. So I had an incredible mentorship experience, which I equate to why I am so confident and empowered in this knowledge now. And so a 1 weekend course to learn about Reiki level 1 or Reiki level 1 and 2 in 1 weekend seems crazy to me, seems like a disservice, really. And so why I've created these as online platforms and online offerings is because you can go back to them. They're all recorded. I have a client in a level 3 training right now, and she did her level 1 and level 2 with me. And she did that 2 years ago. So she's rewatching her level 1 and level 2 in order to prepare herself for her level 3. I have another client who did her level 2, and she was just telling me yesterday that there was just a few things she wanted to re-understand, and she goes back to the material. And it's also being split up into many different weeks. So you actually have time to integrate it and move it into your own life as well. So if you're interested in learning Reiki, if you're interested in how that online offer works, definitely reach out. Probably the best way is through social media, Instagram at I am Skylar Shea. And all of that will be in the show notes anyway. But yeah, it's an incredible journey.
I just have to add, speaking from personal experience, Skylar is such an incredible and gracious and kind and thoughtful teacher. You learn so much from her. I love learning from somebody who has your energy, everything about you. It's so uplifting and it's so juicy and you're so knowledgeable but you're so kind and humble about it. You're really an exceptional teacher. And so for anyone who is interested, you are a dear friend of mine. All that aside, I would say this if I didn't know you at all. I'm so grateful that I learned Reiki through you. You are so incredibly supportive. And I attribute all of my knowledge to you. And you're an incredible teacher.
Thank you. Thank you. It's nice to have incredible students.
Oh, stop.
But it's true.
Okay, yes, you're right. I'm an incredible student.
You all teach me as well. It's so cool. It's not me that's healing you. You had to get to that level yourself. It was you deciding and putting that intention that you're ready for expansion. If it wasn't for that conversation, I wouldn't have known how powerful it was and necessary it was to put that into the courses and remind people of their own power too. So yeah, it's all a ripple effect.
I feel like that should be a topic all in itself, a podcast all in itself
Yes.
down the road, is really diving into what that actually means, because it's so empowering, but it's a tough truth. It's a really hard truth, especially if you've been living in victimhood for a long time, to understand that you literally have the power to heal yourself. It's powerful. Anyways, that is it from us. Raise your freak. Thank you so much. Thank you, Skylar. This was honestly such a great conversation. Yeah, do you have anything to add?
No, I feel complete. If anyone's craving more, just jump into our worlds and we'll be happy to share more or get prompted for another episode of some sort.
I love it. Okay, we'll see everybody next Friday. Take care.